Do you know the feeling when someone does something or says something and all of a sudden you're so angry or you get really scared and all that you want to do is like lash out or shut down and run away? That's because you just got triggered. Someone pushed your buttons and you reacted. And in this video, I'm going to talk about triggers, what they are, what to do about them, how to handle them, and how you can actually use them for your own healing journey and for your growth. Hello everyone, my name is Christine. I help people navigate through difficult life transitions, trauma healing and transformation. And today, the whole topic is about triggers. So what are triggers? Well, just think back of the last time someone, said something or did something and you felt really like angry or irritated or maybe even frightened, anything like that, or any kind of situation that seems to have just pushed a button inside you and you react. And sometimes it's even that strong that like a very strong emotional reaction seems to come out of nowhere. Maybe you lash out to that person or something. Like, for example, I've worked a lot on myself, of course, and I'm not getting that easily triggered anymore like I used to. I mean, everything triggered me. People triggered me. Where I'm still getting triggered a lot is when I drive here my motorbike through Ubud because the traffic is so crazy. And I'm just road raging, and I'm just like everything like immediately pushes my button. I start yelling at everyone in German. I know it's not very polite, but that's just what happens. I mumble to myself angrily. It is quite dangerous. People drive quite inconsiderately, but still, like it is still a huge trigger for me. Many years ago, at the very beginning of my long-term relationship that now is over. But back then, we had the first few months in the first year, basically, we had a long-distance relationship. And every time I couldn't immediately reach him or he wouldn't immediately reply, I would get extremely triggered. Like I would get so scared and so worried, like, why is he not replying? Where is he? Why can't I reach him? What has happened? Like, my mind immediately jumped to the worst case scenario that something happened to him or that he just left me and is with someone else or something like that. I mean, that is catastrophizing. That is one trauma response. But what it really triggered was, which I didn't know at that time, was my attachment trauma, of course, especially when you're anxiously attached. Any kind of, the other person looking like they leave you, they abandon you, you can't reach them, they're not replying. There is immediately that huge anxiety of something bad has happened or that person is going to abandon me is triggered. Think about the last trigger you had. Maybe it was even today, maybe it was a few days ago. What or who triggered you and why? I also sort of accidentally discovered back then when I had these triggers with my then partner, especially a few months after that, he was traveling around the world and I was in Peru. I was at a plant medicine retreat. The internet was really bad. I knew he was somewhere in Australia and surfing, and I was really worried what could happen to him, like all these animals that can kill you there, I don't know. And I couldn't reach him and I didn't hear from him in many days. And I started to really, really panic. And I was also about to do my first ceremony, and I was constantly really on edge. I was very, very anxious, very worried. And then I accidentally or intuitively discovered what would then become the beginning of my inner child healing journey, when I just put a hand on my heart or on my belly where I felt a huge heaviness and a constriction. And I would start to talk to that part in me that was so scared. I would start to soothe that part in me that was obviously an inner child part that was very, very scared. And I basically told her, it's okay, I'm here, you're safe, la la la. And all of that would then basically become intuitively the beginning of my inner child healing journey. So triggers can be a very, very helpful thing. I understand that they are very uncomfortable. I don't like them. I still don't like them. Who likes triggers? But they can be actually a blessing in disguise, okay? And here's why. Triggers are not the reason or the root cause why you feel bad or angry or scared or whatever. They're only touching something that is already there. Someone pushes your buttons and then something comes out because it was already there. It's touching basically some old wounding, some old patterns. It's scratching at the surface of your trauma, maybe also attachment trauma or whatever else. And it also pokes any kind of limiting beliefs that you might have about yourself. When someone makes a remark about you, some sneaky, some whatever impolite remark, or a friend or a family member or a spouse says something or does something, then it might basically remind you subconsciously of whatever you already think about yourself. Like, I am stupid, I am unworthy, I am not good enough. And sometimes they don't even mean it that way. It's just, again, it triggers it. It triggers what's already there. So our reaction sometimes might come out much, much stronger than is rationally appropriate or justified for that kind of situation or for that kind of remark that other person said. Because, again, it's not rational. It pokes into our deepest wounds, traumas, limiting beliefs, suppressed emotions, the wounded inner child, the frightened inner child. So that's why sometimes our reaction is so strong and comes out of nowhere and we lash out. And then we're like, whoa, where did that come from? It's also because, number one, our strongest triggers very, very often come from our closest relationships with our spouses, our children, our parents, also our bosses, any kind of authority figures. Because, of course, they often mirror the original situation and people involved where the trauma and the wounding happened in the first place, which is our parents usually, our caregivers. So later on, any kind of authority figures like your boss or your co-workers, they could mirror the siblings. So they usually mirror some original family dynamics involved. And very, very often our closest relationships, parents, children's, partners, and so on, also friends, there is a karmic connection underneath. There could already be certain patterns, running in the background that because of that karmic connection and because of that karmic pattern still playing out. So in that case, triggers are even much stronger. There are much stronger emotions involved. That's why it's often just not rational how we react and the severity of the situation that we think it's absolutely, catastrophic, but it's not. And of course, we mirror, that's the second thing, we mirror each other's wounds. We mirror each other's traumas. We mirror each other's, limiting beliefs. very, very often, there is, we fit together like puzzle pieces because we attract people that are on a similar frequency with a similar kind of wounding or trauma. And then we just trigger and re-trigger each other all the time because we push each other's buttons the entire time. And triggers are, in that case, when, a trauma, underlying trauma and wounding is triggered, when there is a strong karmic charge, a strong emotional charge behind it, then they can be really quite strong and scary and dysregulating. And they're always uncomfortable, of course, but just know that triggers are actually a blessing in disguise. Why? Because they shine like a flashlight. They shine a light on what you cannot see, what you're not aware of, what's hidden in the shadows, what's hidden in your deepest subconscious and unconscious, layers of your being. And usually that stuff just goes undetected and keeps running and running on autopilot. So from now on, try to see triggers as your friends. Because in a way they are, because they help us. They help us to become aware of something that previously we were not aware of. And that's how any kind of awakening, healing, or transformational healing journey begins. We put awareness. We shine the light of our consciousness onto what was hidden, onto what was in the shadows. That's how true healing begins. So your previously hidden beliefs, limiting beliefs, suppressed emotions, wounds, traumas, stories, patterns, karmic patterns, anything like that, that's where the trigger says, look here. And they're not always that obvious. They're not always right there. It's not like someone pushes your buttons, you become aware, and ta-da, all your traumas and deepest woundings. It's just usually the surface layer. And that's how you start the work. You look first at the trigger, what's underneath, and then it's like peeling the onion. You peel the layers and you go deeper and deeper and deeper each time. So basically the trigger says, look here. So from now on, when a trigger happens, you get triggered, try to become aware immediately. Try to catch yourself. Try before you react, before you lash out, before you yell, before you angrily text someone. Catch yourself, take a breath. Maybe say to the person involved, hold on, I'm going to take a moment here. Try to find a quiet place. Sit down. Close your eyes. And feel within, feel into your body. What just happened? Look at the trigger. Where in your body do you feel it? Do you feel it in your heart, in your stomach, in your throat? Where do you feel it? How does it feel like? Is it heavy? Is it constricted? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it tingly? Is it numb? And what emotion is attached to it? Of course, that's very, very important. There's always an emotion attached to it. What is it? Is it anger? Is it rage? Is it fear? Is it sadness? Is it shame? Is it guilt? What emotion is attached to the trigger, and feel it in your body and breathe into it. And allow yourself to fully feel it. That is super important. And give that feeling, that emotion, that sensation full permission to be there and be present with it and feel it fully. And very, very often, already then you get a sense of the original situation where that wounding happened. Maybe not the very origin, but there is sometimes a memory comes up of a situation that happened before in your life, maybe also in your childhood or in your teenagehood. Like, doesn't have to be, but if a memory comes up, you get a sense of that was in childhood or in teenagehood, then look at that inner child or that inner teenager. And it's very important that you tell them This is allowed. You are allowed to feel this. I am right here with you. We feel this together. You are safe with me feeling this. The absolute worst you can do, and the main thing that will keep you stuck and blocked and unhealed forever, is when you suppress your emotions. If you do not allow yourself to feel your emotions, if you do not express them, if you just deny them, push them away, suppress them. Do the opposite from now on. Allow yourself to feel what needs to be felt, because that is the doorway to healing. That is the doorway to uncover your trauma and to just get to the bottom of it. Because again, there are many layers to it. And maybe at the same time, there will be some sort of thought in your head, maybe like it triggers very often also our limiting beliefs about ourselves, about life. A person said something mean, pushed your buttons, you got angry. You know that, oh, that's my inner teenager, that's my inner child, because my father said the same thing to me. And I felt so unworthy. I felt so much shame. I felt powerless because I couldn't defend myself against him. So maybe something like that comes up, like, oh, that's because he said that to me and I feel really unworthy. I feel really, really ashamed. You know, something like that. So in that case, again, just notice it, become aware and observe it. That's so important. Feel the feelings, express them and observe the thoughts, observe the memories, observe what's coming up. Also, do not judge yourself. Try not to judge yourself for getting triggered, for feeling like this, for feeling then ashamed or unworthy or angry or scared or anything like that. Do not judge your inner child. On the contrary, try to be really, really compassionate with yourself and with your inner child and say, you know, it's okay, and I see you and you're loved, and all your emotions are safe with me, and all your emotions are precious actually, and you're so safe with me to feel your emotions. Do not judge her, do not judge yourself, and try not to judge the other person too much, whatever they said or did to you, because they most likely have their own wounds and traumas. That doesn't mean that it's okay when something really bad happened, when someone said something really disrespectful. I'm not saying that, you know, it's okay what they do, but it doesn't really help the situation when you just hold on to any kind of anger and resentment, or you make it worse. You put oil into the fire, you know. It just makes the situation then much bigger and keeps it, the energy, the charge. It basically keeps it. You're stuck. You're stuck with it. So we want to release it and not hold on to it, of course. So yeah, don't try to judge yourself and the other person too much. Try to have a bit of love, compassion, and understanding. And I know sometimes it's really not easy. At the very least, some neutrality. So yeah, try to make friends with triggers. Try to catch yourself from now on every time you're triggered. Try to do this process that I just told you about, to sit down, to feel them, to feel the sensation in the body, how it feels like, the emotion, expressing the emotions, the inner child, the memory, the limiting belief that might come up. And also, it's very, very, very normal that at first you probably won't catch yourself when it happens. It just happens, you know, it's like, rah, you're so used to that. You know, someone pushes your buttons and you react, and it's just like automatic, and it's just very, very normal. So don't judge yourself for that either. And know that it takes a while. It really takes a while to become aware. And then you can catch yourself next time earlier. Maybe it still happens, but at least you can observe yourself while you yell at the other person or whatever. And then at some point, you will become so aware that you catch yourself while it happens. And then you might be able to say, okay, I'm going to stop here. I need a moment. And you just leave the situation and go somewhere safe and do that process and feel into it. And maybe at some point you become so aware that you catch yourself before it even happens. That's, of course, the best possible thing. Like, you can already see, you start to get angry, you start to feel the anger rising, that person, is about to say whatever, something, and then you're like, okay, hold on, bye. And then it doesn't escalate. Because very, very often with really strong triggers, it escalates. So this is also something that can be avoided the more the more aware you become. The earlier you catch yourself, and the less the situation will escalate. So this also really helps to improve your relationships with other people. And also it shows where we might need to set boundaries with others, where we might have fixed roles like people pleaser or, the martyr or anything like that, where we are not able to say no, where we are not able to express our needs, where we let other people disrespect us and stuff like that. So it really shines a light also on the reality of some relationships, where then it's up to you to choose if you want to keep that relationship or that situation or that pattern or that dynamics, or if you at some point you want to leave it and you want to, because it doesn't feel aligned anymore and because it doesn't get better. Maybe you start your healing process, but the other person doesn't. And at some point there will be an imbalance. So, when triggers happen and you become more aware, then it really helps to know if that situation or that relationship is still aligned with you or not. So that's it for today. There's a lot more to it, of course. I tried to keep it a bit more short. I really hope it is helpful for you. So yeah, good luck with starting to identify your triggers, start to become more aware, start to work with them, start to actually welcome them. And yeah, what's your main triggers? Who triggers you? Let me know in the comments. When were you triggered last? And yeah, good luck with your healing journey. I send you so much love. Bye-bye.